Hello everyone. So, recently I have made some rather interesting discoveries in the way of the Uncharted 3 multiplayer beta. I've been doing some file digging, looking around it, and I've come across a few things that I thought would be possibly video worthy. Now, for those of you that have never played this, nowadays you can't do anything with this. You try to boot into it and it just says that the servers are offline, or in my case that I'm not signed up for the PlayStation Network, and so you can't get access to it normally. So in my various attempts to try to get past that, I ended up messing around with the boot file for the game, and I was trying to enable the debug menu in the same way that we can do in all the other Uncharted games, and I was half successful. It didn't work quite the way I intended it to, but it did have a positive effect, which you will see in a second here. So as you can see up in the top right, there's the little frame rate counter. Now that's the only thing indicating that there's anything different. I can't open a debug menu, I can't open the debug text, nothing works. But what it does do is, as soon as I load up the game, it boots me into an empty level. And from here we can go into the pause menu and have a look at some of the stuff that we're usually not able to see. So as you can see here, I'm just going through the options. Nothing really that exciting. There's a lot of things that either don't work very well or are just completely broken. There's a lot of things that are left over from Uncharted 2, including, as you can see here, a bonus menu, which Uncharted 3 unfortunately did not end up having. But there is clearly a template here from an earlier Uncharted. So as you can see, I'm just going through the single player skins. It has all the stuff from Uncharted 2. Of course, there's no money for us to actually be able to buy it, but even if there was, there's no models for it to load because they're not in the game, so it is just a template. It has all the guns and all the render modes and unlockables and stuff like that. It's very neat, but it's a sad reminder of what could have been. So anyway, we also have some other Uncharted 2 leftovers, such as a full medal list from the game. Right at the bottom though, there are some Uncharted 3 ones that aren't quite implemented yet. There's one called Drake's on a Plane, but all the rest of them are just unknown strings, so none of them's been done yet. There's also a statistics list. Again, very little is finalised in this build of the game. So back at the pause screen, there's a bit of text overlap on the checkpoint thing. If we back out into the level, I can just ever so slightly move the camera around, but obviously Drake's not spawned in, so I can't do anything. But if we from here back out to the main menu, which we weren't able to do before, this is where things start to get really interesting. So, unlike before, we can hit start, and we're in the main menu. We weren't able to do that before. A lot of different things here. First of all, as you can see right at the top where it says play, there's a chapter called East End Boys. Now this chapter does not exist in the final game. We'll get back to that later. There's some different stuff, as you can see, very early concepts of what the gallery and things would look like. Just the same store as before, treasures and all that. So the options menu is just exactly the same as the one we saw in the pause screen. But the multiplayer, as you can see, if I click multiplayer, it just gives me the same error that I got before. There's one called local multiplayer though that made me think that I might be able to get a game in, like an offline mode or something. Unfortunately not quite. It lets us create a profile. I just made one called test. And if we try to go into it, it just comes up with this, and it never progresses past this point. It doesn't freeze because I can still access like the PlayStation 3 menu, but it just sticks here, which is quite unfortunate. So because it unfortunately sticks on us, we need to restart the game. But once we do, we can get back into it and have another look at that little play button. Now, as you can see, it says East End Boys. There's no chapter select, which I did look for because I would have liked to have seen the in-game variant of all the different chapters. Obviously we can try to click play, but there's no file for it to load because the only maps in the multiplayer demo is the multiplayer maps. There's no single player maps. I looked through all the files, they're all just multiplayer ones, so it just sits here and it loads forever. Now while I was looking through the in-game files, I tried to see if I could find the file that contained all of the names for the chapters, and I was able to. So what you are going to be looking at very soon is the names of all the beta chapters compared to the retail ones. So let's bring that up right now. So, on the screen right now, on the left hand side you have all of the retail chapters in the game, all 22 of them, and on the right hand side you have all 24 of the beta chapters. That's right, there are 2 extra chapters, I think. It may simply be that they changed the name of one of the chapters and didn't remove its old name or something like that, but there's certainly 24 names here. One thing that I would like to point out is that the list on the right hand side is not necessarily in the correct order. The list of levels that I found in the game's files was completely jumbled up and was not in the order that they were meant to be played in. I tried to organise them the best I could, but since there was extra levels, there were levels with names that did not even remotely link up with anything in the game. I tried my best, so there may be inconsistencies with some of the ways that they're laid out, but I think there's only 3 or 4 that might be wrong, but the rest of them should be right. But moving on, I think that that's pretty much all of it. That's all I had to cover in this video. I think the chapter list is pretty cool, because it just shows some of the different ideas that they had during the time. Some of the chapter names are pretty funny, like Seriously and Drake's on a Plane. I really do like the subtlety of the name Spiders on that chapter. But there's a few that kind of confused me. There's one called Steeplechase. I just put that before Abducted because I assumed that was going to be the name of the chapter where you chase Talbot, Mr. Invincible. And there's another one called A Hole in the Ground. That one was the most difficult to guess because I don't remember any point in Uncharted 3 there being a hole in the ground that was a plot point, but whatever. That's the thing, that might have been a removed chapter that had something else in it. Uncharted 3 certainly did not have the smoothest development, and there was a lot of stuff added last minute, removed last minute. It was very slapdash, but that's what happens when you rush a game. But I think, yeah, that's pretty much all I had to cover in this video. I think I found a decent amount. I'm pretty happy with it. Not to say I'm done finding stuff for this game, it's just what I happened to find today. There may be more, there may be not. But I think that's pretty much it, so thank you for watching. I hope I haven't bored you too much, and I will hopefully see you again in the near future. Goodbye.